Hey, what's up? My name is Kevin, and I'm the helpful hero, here to help you leverage the awesome power that is HubSpot. Now, one of my favorite things to do as I'm just surfing the web and browsing other websites is when I find one that has awesome design aesthetic, and I ask myself, can I actually accomplish the same design or layout utilizing Clean Pro? And that is why I started this tutorial series where I'm gonna find cool sites or maybe even get them suggested by you and then go build them in Clean Pro using the various modules that I have access to, and you do as well, and show you how you would actually go about it and just how versatile Clean Pro can be. So in today's video, we are featuring Klarna. It's a payment app, and although I don't use it, I've always been really impressed with their design and branding, and their homepage is a great example. Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly refresh this, and we see this really cool little transition where these different elements animate in, and that is exactly what we are going to go ahead and recreate utilizing Clean Pro, and none other than the my favorite, the magic module. This thing, I'm telling you, there's gonna be a ton of tutorials that I'm gonna release on this because it can do so much. Master this module and you can build pretty much any website, trust me. So let's go ahead and just go through the process of recreating this. Now, I went ahead and just grabbed, I think this is the resource template or case study template. It doesn't matter what template you use, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and utilize the magic module on top of the page, which obviously I already have one here. So let's go ahead and first things first, pop back over and see what we need to do. So clearly we got a black background. We have 3 columns, one for the text, one for the image, and then one for this little block here. So if we go over to our magic module, the first thing I'll probably do is just come into the section settings so we can set that background color. So we don't need that. And then we can just go color, we'll do black, and then we don't need an overlay. I can just do nope right there. So I'll apply those changes, and I'm gonna make a habit of applying changes just so we can kind of see it take shape as we go along. Now, the next thing we need to do is actually build out those 3 columns. So if we go under start here, we can go ahead and move this up to 3. We'll apply changes here. And if we look at our example, it looks, I mean, for the most part, 3 equal columns. So in this case, what we're gonna do with our column arrangement is we're just gonna leave it at 4, 4, 4. That's basically 3 equal columns. So nothing to adjust there. Now let's go ahead and just build out column number 1. So if we just go back to this, we'll go into column 1, and we'll edit this content element since it's already selected on a rich text editor, and that's what we would want to choose. So let's go ahead and turn dark mode on, and we'll do something like this. We'll just say, and this is gonna be a shameless plug. I'm gonna be patting my back the entire time, so forgive me. Clean Pro, and then we'll do shift return so we can keep it on the same, or keep it kind of, you know, in its same H1 or heading 1. Can do, and then we'll do one more space with shift return, it all. And let's just, for good measure, we'll capitalize these. Cool. Now what we want to do is we actually want to right align this. So we'll just highlight this text, and then we'll come over and we'll right align it. So it looks like that. Again, we got the little right alignment. This one's a little offset. So what we would want to do is let's just do a space right here to add a little more space. Maybe one more. I mean, it's close enough. Let's see what we got. Okay, so hold on before we do that. Okay, there we go. That actually looks pretty cool. So now what we want to do is we actually want to come in and we want to add that animation because it kind of fades up and right, like, let's see, it comes from the lower left. So what we would do on the content element, if we turn on our dark mode, HubSpot, if you're watching this, just recognize it's white text and do this automatically. Please save us all some time. So we want to come down and we'll just remove this space for good measure. We don't need that. But now we can come down to the animations section. And this is where we would want to choose from a variety of animations, but we're looking for fade in from bottom left. So if I choose that, apply these changes, let's just see how this actually looks in our preview. All right, it's actually not too bad, looking pretty good. So we got that element in. So now let's go ahead and just like jump back and let's get the other elements in first, and then we can tweak it just a little bit. So for column 2, what we want to do is we'll just delete this and we'll add a new content element. And in this one, we'll just use the image and select image here. Now I already grabbed that image from Klarna, this cool looking image right here. So that's what we're going to utilize. So if I browse images, where is it? View all, do we have it in here? Maybe not, but I can just drag and drop and, oh, it is already in here. Insert existing file, perfect. So let's just apply those changes and see how this looks. Okay, so we got that. Now, one thing that I'm noticing straight away is there's still a lot of spacing right down here that is not here. So let's quickly just make that adjustment so it starts to look a little bit more like our example. To do that, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to come into the style settings, and then I'm gonna go into the row spacing options, and it's that padding bottom that we wanna get rid of. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and set these to 0 for desktop, and then I can just delete these ones all together. Now here's a quick tip. You're gonna notice like when this is a little bit grayed out, that means there's no value for these numbers. And in any of these settings where you can see a desktop, tablet, and mobile, if there's nothing set here in this one, it's basically going to inherit whatever we set above it. In this case, desktop. So if I just want these all to be 0, I can just set the 0 here and then just delete all of these. So that's just a quick tip. So let's go ahead and apply changes and see how we're looking. So let's just close this. Cool, we're actually looking pretty good. However, as you notice, this little guy anchors kind of at the top. So one of the things that we'll want to quickly adjust here is within the column itself. Now there's a cool little, oops, we want to actually go into the column settings and then column 2, and there's a handy little feature in Design Extras that allows you to align the content within the column. By default, it aligns the top, but you can align it to the bottom. So in that case, I'm just gonna apply changes, and now that's always anchored down at the bottom, no matter what browser width that someone is looking at your website on. So far so good, but now we have that little animation that we want to add to the image. So here is where we would go back to the content tab, go into column 1, and then go into that content element itself. And then we would come down here to animations, and then this animation, if we refresh the page, I think just kind of comes up from the bottom, nice and subtly. So we would choose fade in and up. Perfect, let's see how this is looking. Not bad. Now, if we wanted to slow that down, one option that you can do is you can come in and choose fast, slow, or slower, or even super slow. So if I choose slower, let's just see what that does. It's a little too slow, but that is an option. Let's just try slow and see if that's a little closer to our example. It is, it actually is. So we would want to actually do the same thing for all of the elements so that they slide in at the exact same time. So let's go ahead and quickly take care of that now that we have a pretty good idea of the speed of the animation that we want. So in this case, we'll go ahead and go back to column 1 into that content element. Again, HubSpot, recognize that automatically. Animations, and then speed. We're gonna go ahead and change that to slow. This way that they're gonna all kind of fade in at the same time. Nice, that looks actually pretty good. I like it. Okay, we're getting closer and closer. Now what we want to do is we actually want to build out this section. So we have a little star and the App Store, some text, and then a button. So here's what we're going to do in column 3. We're going to come in here. Let's just delete this content element altogether. And the first thing we're going to do is build out that little star. So what I would recommend is, well, let's say star rating as our label. And we can actually use the custom bullet point for this. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bullet point list, but it's actually a little handy because you can use it as a kind of icon and text call out. So what we can do is we'll just add the bullet point. And again, let me shamelessly plug 5 out of 5 stars in the HubSpot marketplace. Pat on the back, Kev, you're doing great. We can come over here and we can search the icon for a star. Let's see, there's our star right there. Let's make the star have a color of white. Icon size, 16 is probably fine. And then we'll want to change the custom bullet point style probably to be white. So let's just apply changes and see how everything's looking first and foremost. Not bad at all, right? Okay, so now we want to build in that text below. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to add another content element. Let's call this text. And again, we'll come over here and we'll just say something like Claim Pro is super flexible and allows you to do anything you can design and dream up. Shameless plug. That works for me. So let's go ahead and first, we want to make that text white. So again, we'll just come right on under here and we'll make that white, turn on the dark editor, and then apply changes and just see how things are looking. Okay, cool. So one of the things that I noticed is because of the custom bullet points have this little space here, one quick trick that you can do is with this content element, you can come right down here and use the left spacing left and right for the content. So if I plug in like 15 pixels, apply changes, nice, it kind of aligns it perfectly. So now the last little bit is we want to add that learn more call to action. So if I come back over here, we're going to add another content element. In this case, we'll just label it button. I'll select my button content element. Open up these little features. In this case, I'm just gonna use a standard button because it's easy, but you can create a CTA or modal button if you want. So we'll open up the standard button. We'll do learn more. I'm gonna give it a secondary style and apply changes. Let's see how that looks. Not too shabby. Now, of course, one thing that we would want to do is we would actually want to add that 15 pixels of spacing on the left and right. So I'm gonna go back one and I'm gonna come down here again and I'll just quickly add that in. And now we're actually looking pretty darn good. So if we compare the difference, okay, not bad. This text is a little larger. We'll quickly address that, but all in all, this is actually looking pretty darn close. So let's go ahead and we'll come over here quickly to column 3. We'll go into our text and let's just go ahead and make this, I'm just gonna choose H4 because I know that that's gonna be a little bit bigger within the typography settings that I have. And look at that, it's already looking pretty darn close. Maybe a little bit of space right here. So I can just come to the option that allows me to add space below the content. And let's just try like 30 pixels of space there and see how that looks. Much better. Okay, now we have this entire section that we actually need to animate in all together. You can see how this one comes in together. And being that it is multiple content elements, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna actually want to come in to the column itself and apply an animation to the actual column. So I can go ahead and choose the same fade up and fade up from bottom right. And again, we wanna make sure that it's set to slow. and apply these changes. Let HubSpot do its thing. We're getting super close. Let's just go ahead and quickly preview this in a new tab just to see how everything's looking. Not too darn bad. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is in our example, this is just a little higher. The content is maybe a little closer. So let's just go ahead and make some of those fine-tune adjustments. Also, you'll notice that the images kind of, slide from other content, which we want to avoid. So let's go ahead and jump in and fix those things really quickly. We'll go back. Let's jump in and first fix the spacing. So I'll go under the Styles tab. We'll go to row settings. And what we want to do is we just want to contain the width of the container just a little bit. So what I might do is go to the content width, and instead of standard, maybe I'll do custom. And this is gonna give us a lot more fine grained control. So maybe I'll try like 1200 pixels, and let's just see how this looks when I check it out. It's a little bit closer, It's probably because this little image that it blocks right here. But as you can see, we're kind of in the ballpark. So let's just go ahead and I'm gonna quickly widen this out, and then we're gonna move on to some of the other options. So let's just actually make this 13. And now what we wanna do is we want to make sure that this little image kind of peaks higher on normal browsers. And so what we're gonna do in this case is we're actually gonna come back to the column settings within the Styles tab. And we want to add a little bit of padding top to both column 1 and column 3, not 2. So we'll do spacing around content. And in this case, let's do 100 pixels of padding top on column 1. We'll come back here and we're gonna do the same thing for the spacing around column 3. So we'll just do 100 here. So let's apply those changes. Sweet, right? It's looking actually really, really close to our example. Now, the last little bit that we want to finish off is to make sure that these elements don't come out from this white space under here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to the Styles tab under Section Settings, and then under Background, there's a little toggle here that says Hide Overflowing Elements. And this is exactly what this is here for. So if I toggle this on and apply these changes, now you're going to see all of those come up from this container. So let's go ahead and jump over here, give this page a refresh, and see how we did. There's our example, and here was our reference. Not too damn bad. Now, the last little design detail is this little gradient image. You could probably do that in the image. I'm not gonna waste your time here. But all in all, the magic module for the win. Now, if you like this tutorial and would love to see more like it, definitely reach out, let me know, or drop a comment below if you have an example website that you would love to see recreated utilizing Clean Pro. With that, I'm out. Have an awesome day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.